Hi there, it's Jada here and welcome to my crazy world. So today I'm going to take a little different approach from my previous videos, and I just want to have a little bit more of a encouragement slash semi discussion about creative burnout, especially when you're a creative. It doesn't matter if you're disabled and creative. I think that's important too. And it also, this just includes all creatives and all people that are in that creative space and are just doing creative either part-time or full-time, or just creatives in their own time. And I think that's important to have these conversations, especially when you have these gifts. So I really want to touch on being misunderstood by so many other people, even family members. So a lot of people may not know, but I do some poetry and singing. I haven't been consistent with it because of years of burnout and not believing in myself and not taking it seriously. And it can be very frustrating because I have this talent and I have the drive for it as a kid, but sometimes dealing with burnout, just being autistic, and then also having to juggle so many things like school and therapy, and then also dealing with depression later on, and so many other things. And when you want to have that outlet, but sometimes you don't have room for it, it can get tricky, and I completely understand. But I think that I feel like when you're in that headspace and you don't have the maturity, it just means that you're just stuck, really stuck. And I get it, I get brain fogs a lot. But sometimes when it's a long brain fog, it just layers and just layers and layers and layers, and it just doesn't stop. And this is the first time in a while that I actually have desire to actually take the time to actually know what I want, and then actually take a break from a lot of things, like me being on social media. Social media has been my creative outlet, and it's the only way, one of the only ways that I actually get to express myself when I have the time. Because back then when I was a kid, all I had was really school and sometimes after school programs. But now I'm working and I have these events and I have to do posts for social media, as an intern recently. And I feel like that internship really sparked a lot of things. And also, there's a spiritual component too. God has definitely called me to be something bigger. And I know that he wants me to use those gifts for good. But and I understand this, depression isn't for the weak. And having severe depression, MDD, major depressive disorder, it goes up and it goes down. But I know how to get out of it. But I don't want to dwell in it. But when your brain tells you, oh, you're never going to do this, people are not going to pay attention to your work, it just gets insane. And my brain just like, oh no. So if you are a creative out here, just kind of starting out, and you have this gift of wanting to just create and be authentic with it, know that you are not alone in that, and I'm there with you, and we're all in this together. But I do definitely have some tips, and we're learning together. And this isn't me just being an expert. I'm not an expert. I'm just being a peer that's trying to help each other out and just grow along the way and just bonding. I think that it takes a village, and I think that in order for us to be able to succeed, not succeed, but to be able to encourage each other, we have to work together, and we have have to look out for each other. And I think that's really important. So I think one thing that will be helpful, especially when you want to create and you have a lot of ideas, but you don't want to be like everyone else, please take a social media break. And please also if there's like things that you don't resonate with anymore, Instagram has an option where you can archive posts, and don't be afraid to delete it, because if you feel like those posts doesn't really resonate with you or your creative outlet or your creative flow, never be afraid to remove it. And that's what I'm doing right now, just removing everything that doesn't really resonate with me. It is not about the context of the post. It's really about my story and really developing it in a way where I want to be real with the people that I know, my peers. And I think that when you give yourself that space to actually be able to do what you want to do, and then push out the content or push out the stories that you want to push out, there's so much wonder and there's so much freedom that you just in awe with what you put out there. And I listened to this podcast. It's called the Wonder Creative Podcast, and I'll put a link in the description of the particular episode. But listen to the entire podcast because it's one of my favorite podcasts, and I love Chloe Tilley. She's amazing, and she does amazing branding. But this podcast is just wonderful. And she talked to one of her friends. Her name is Olivia Brock, who I also follow, and she's also a creative. And I love how she talked about creating from wholeness and not creating from like a place of sadness or a place of depression, but creating from newness, creating from the ability to actually uplift and share your story in a more positive light. And I think that's really important if that's you, because sometimes I like to share my story from something negative, because of course being the negative into a positive, but sometimes when you share it from that place of desire, urge, and transparency, I feel like it's so freeing, especially in a way where people can understand, but it's also you add your own style to it, you add your own flow to it. And I believe wholeheartedly that will bring people. And you don't have to do it for fame. You don't have to do it for likes and comments. I think that if you're wanting followers and validation, I don't even think having like followers isn't bad, but even just reaching out to even if one person is inspired by you, if one person said that, oh, this poem, oh, your story has changed my life, your story is amazing, your story has uplifted me, one person might be blessed by that. And I think it's good to be content with that one person who listened to your story. And I've shared my story many times on different platforms, on different stages, and I'm still in awe by many people that say that my story has uplifted them or inspired them. I don't mind that, because I came from a place where I had the assumption that people didn't care. People didn't want to hear my story. People think that I was crazy. Like, people think that and this is what my mind is saying. This is what the negative things in my head, this is what the negative things in my head says, or like assume to say, that they don't want to hear you. This girl is weird. This person is weird. Why should we hear this person? But, you know, as over the years, I just started to grow up and starting to learn more about myself, but also take the time to actually get to know myself and actually work on growing as an individual and connecting to God and talking to God about just everything that I've been through, but also knowing how to connect to people and also connecting to Him so that I can connect to everyone else. It is a long process, but sometimes life can get you there, and it doesn't have to be positive. It doesn't have to be negative. It could just be something, even from the smallest things, movies, TV shows, just something that resonates with you. So I'm gonna end it here and say that if you are a creative that's stuck in a rut or feel like you are just not at the place you want to be, or you're just struggling with creating and knowing what God wants you to put out there to the world, God hears you anyway. And what you put out there authentically, someone will be blessed by it. So know that your voice matters. You are heard, you are loved, and you are cherished by Abba. And I'm just gonna end it here and say thank you guys so much for listening. I hope this video encourages you. I hope that you come out of this video with getting something that just suits your soul or gives you the drive to just put it out there. And this is also for myself too. So yeah, let's do it, guys. So thank you guys again, and I will see you next time. So Jada, Wada, out.